This time on Allies or Enemies, we are looking at Flamecraft. The game was supplied by the publisher, but the thoughts are all our own. Flamecraft is a 1 to 5 player dragon placement game designed by Manny Vega with adorable art by Sandara Tang. In the world of Flamecraft, artisan dragons work with shopkeepers to create the greatest goods in the land, and your job is to place those skilled dragons in the shops that need them. Think of yourself as kind of a hiring agency, but without the long lines and dodgy coffee, and for dragons. As you move around town connecting dragons with shops, you will also be gaining goods and casting enchantments, and pleasing fancy dragons, who are like normal dragons, but fancy. It is fairly lightweight, but with an engaging system and a lot of touches that help new players with the flow. But how exactly does that all work? Let's take a look.
Each turn in Flamecraft will start with moving to any one of the shops in town and choosing to either gather or enchant. If you gather, you first gain all of the resources shown on the shop, enchantment cards, and dragons. Then you may play a dragon to an available space and take the benefit. And finally, activate any one dragon in that shop, which may or may not be the one you just played. There's 6 kinds of dragons, and each kind has a set power across all dragons of that type. So bakery dragons always gain a new dragon card, for example. If you decide to enchant, you choose an enchantment card that matches the shop type you are visiting and pay the cost. Then gain the benefits and add it to the shop, and then you may activate all of the dragon cards at that shop in whichever order you want. Once you have finished your chosen action, you refill the dragon and or enchantment cards, and the play moves to the next player in the way of the clock. The game ends once either the dragon or enchantment deck is empty. Then you add up all the points you've gained from coins and fancy dragon cards, and the greatest Flamekeeper is named.
We have the retail version of Flamecraft, so no dragon minis or metal coins or wooden resources, although all of these can be added separately. But even with the base retail version, this game is lovely. The first thing you will notice with this game is the art, which is about as adorable as it gets. A lot has gone into making this feel like a living town, where the dragons all have personalities and the shops feel real. I want to live here and visit these places. If there were a Flamecraft cartoon, I would watch it, and Potato would be my favorite. The other big focal point is the neoprene mat, which is longer and thinner than a normal board, which makes it feel like a fancy centerpiece for a weird party, but in a good way. It provides a place for everything, and it is kind of fun connecting the shops with the stuff we think should be outside. All of the other bits work well too, and I don't think anyone with the retail version will be at all unhappy with the resources or coins or wooden dragons with their Trogdor-style consummate Vs.
Flamecraft works for 1 to 5 players. At 2 players, you may find that there is quite a bit of empty space, so players aren't generally having to pay each other to share a shop or having to race too hard for the best dragon spots, and all of your gifts will be going to the same place. With more players, this tightens up pretty quickly, and the gift giving can become a bit of a meta game and sometimes a kind of catch-up mechanic, as the person in the lead is unlikely to get too much free stuff. On the other hand, turns can be a bit long at times, especially later in the games. It's not a huge issue, but it is something to be aware of in 5-player games. We found that all counts will work just fine, but 3 or 4 may be the sweetest sweet spot. There's also a solo mode, which works pretty well. It's kind of a best score mode, but there's a bot of sorts that occupies shops, puts out dragons, and discards enchantments to keep things moving. It also has a cool achievement system that has you chasing goals to open up more available stores and is a surprisingly motivating way to encourage multiple plays.
The gameplay is not going to change enormously from game to game. This is a fairly light game after all. You will always be either gathering or enchanting, although within that system there is a lot of room for fun combos. Where the variety comes in is mostly in the shops that come up later in the game. Each game you will only use about a third of the available shops, and even then probably not all of them will come out. and these can swing the focus in big ways, with some of them offering huge early bonuses, rewarding players that race to get there early, and others that reward patience or create opportunities for huge combos if used just right. There are also two different enchantment decks that provide a different mix of rewards and can slightly shift your focus, as well as optional companions which provide asymmetrical once a game bonuses. And of course, the fancy dragons you draw will steer your path as well. It's all mostly small shifts in direction, but it mostly does a good job of creating different enough challenges.
Flamecraft will bring in a lot of folks with its charming theme and adorable art style, but it is more than just a cute dragon-y package. The gameplay is easy to understand, but offers opportunities to create rewarding combos, and it's simple enough to work as a gateway game, but with that bit extra that's made games like Wingspan so successful. One possible hiccup could be with folks that see the art as a bit too childish, as it is for an older audience than it might first appear, and the comboness of the turns can lead to a bit of AP for some, but for those that are young at heart and don't mind taking turns as they come, these won't be a huge problem. We can definitely see this one making more than a few year-end top 10 lists, and if you're looking for a light to medium weight game that looks adorable, plays fairly quickly, a trip to this dragon-filled town could well be worth it. And that is it. Have you played Flamecraft? Which other 2022 releases have impressed you so far? Let us know in the comments, and as always, please like and subscribe, and hopefully we will see you all next time for another game.